At 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, Sarah Chen received a motion alert from her Ring doorbell. She almost ignored it. Almost. The notification showed her elderly neighbor, Mr. Patterson from 2 houses down, standing perfectly still on her porch, facing her door. He hadn't knocked, hadn't moved, just stood there in his pajamas, bare feet on the concrete, staring directly into the camera lens. Sarah felt her stomach drop. Mr. Patterson had died 3 weeks ago. She'd been to his funeral, wore black, signed a condolence book, hugged his daughter. Now he was on her porch at 3:47 in the morning, and when she zoomed in on the footage, she could see his lips moving, whispering something over and over. Sarah grabbed her phone with shaking hands and called 911. While she waited, she watched the live feed. He was still there, still whispering. The police arrived 14 minutes later. Her porch was empty, but when Detective Morrison reviewed the footage on his phone, standing right there in her living room, his face went pale. He made her play it again, then again. "What are you seeing?" Sarah asked. Morrison didn't answer right away. He just kept staring at the screen, at dead Mr. Patterson's moving lips. Finally he looked up at her and said, "He's saying your address over and over, but not this address. He's saying the address of a place you've never been. A funeral home on Mitchell Street." Sarah laughed nervously. "That's crazy. Why would he be saying that?" Morrison's expression didn't change. "I don't know, but I'm going to find out." He left with a copy of the footage, told her to call if anything else happened, told her to keep her doors locked. Sarah couldn't sleep. She sat on her couch watching the recording over and over. Mr. Patterson's dead face, his mouth moving. She turned up the volume as high as it would go, pressed her ear to the phone speaker, and there it was, faint, barely audible under the ambient night sounds. Mitchell Street Funeral Home. Mitchell Street Funeral Home. Mitchell Street Funeral Home. Like a prayer, like a warning. Sarah's hands were shaking. She'd never heard of Mitchell Street Funeral Home, didn't know where it was, but something made her search for it. Google Maps. There, 15 minutes across town. 4.2 stars. Family owned since 1952. She clicked on the reviews. Most were standard. Professional service. Dignified. Affordable. But then she found one from 3 months ago. 1 star. The reviewer's name was Jennifer Patterson, Mr. Patterson's daughter. The review said, "I don't know what happened to my father in this place, but something is wrong. During the viewing I could have sworn I saw him blink. The funeral director assured me it was just a trick of the light, but I know what I saw. And the night before we buried him, I received a doorbell notification. My father was standing on my porch, but he was supposed to be at the funeral home. I drove there immediately. His body was still there in the casket. But then who was on my porch? They removed my review twice. I keep reposting it. People need to know." Sarah felt ice in her veins. She checked the date on Jennifer's review. It was posted the day after Mr. Patterson's funeral, 3 weeks ago. The same funeral Sarah had attended. She scrolled through more reviews, found others, scattered over the years. Always 1 star. Always describing the same thing. Loved ones appearing on doorbell cameras after death. Always at 3:47 a.m. Always whispering an address. Sarah searched for news articles about Mitchell Street Funeral Home. Nothing official. But she found forum posts, Reddit threads, a whole community of people trying to figure out what was happening. Someone had created a spreadsheet, dozens of names. People who'd been prepared at Mitchell Street. People who'd appeared on doorbell cameras afterward. The spreadsheet had columns: name, date of death, date of appearance, address whispered, and a final column: outcome. Sarah scrolled through it. Most outcomes were listed as unknown, but some said disappeared. Others said deceased. She found Mr. Patterson's name. Someone had already added him. Date of death was listed. Date of appearance was last night. Her address was in the next column. And the address he'd whispered. Mitchell Street Funeral Home. The outcome column was empty. Sarah looked at the other entries. Noticed a pattern. Everyone who'd been visited eventually ended up back at the funeral home. Either they disappeared and were never found, or they died in accidents, or they simply stopped posting online and were assumed dead. The spreadsheet had been updated 2 hours ago. Someone named Marcus had added a note. If you're reading this and you've been visited, don't go to the funeral home. Don't even drive past it. They're collecting. I don't know for what. But everyone who goes inside doesn't come back the same. Some don't come back at all. Sarah should have listened. Should have packed a bag and driven in the opposite direction. Should have left town, left the state, left everything behind. But she was curious. Stupid. She wanted answers. So at 2:30 p.m. that same day, she drove to Mitchell Street. Just to look. Just to see what kind of place this was. The funeral home was a Victorian house converted for business. Dark wood. High windows. A sign out front with elegant script. Mitchell Street Funeral Home. Established 1952. Serving families with dignity and grace. The parking lot was empty. Sarah sat in her car across the street. Watching. Nothing seemed unusual. It looked like every other funeral home. Quiet. Respectable. Professional. Then the front door opened. A man stepped out, tall, thin. Wearing a black suit. He looked directly at Sarah's car. Smiled. Waved. Sarah's blood turned cold. She didn't know how, but she knew. He'd been expecting her. She started her car, prepared to leave, but her phone buzzed. Another ring notification. Motion detected at front door. Sarah's finger hovered over the alert. She wasn't home. She was 15 minutes away. Who was at her door? She opened the app. The live feed loaded. Mr. Patterson was back, standing on her porch. But this time he wasn't alone. There were others. 5 people, 10, 20, all standing perfectly still, all wearing funeral clothes, all staring into the camera, all with their lips moving. Sarah cranked the volume. They were all whispering the same thing. She's here. She came. She's watching. Start the collection. Sarah looked up from her phone. The man in the black suit was crossing the street, walking toward her car. His smile never wavered. Sarah threw her car in reverse. Tires squealed. She pulled away. In her rearview mirror, she saw him standing in the middle of the road. Not chasing. Not running. Just watching her go. Still smiling. Sarah drove home doing 80. Ran every red light. When she got to her house, her porch was empty. No people. No Mr. Patterson. Nothing. She checked the ring footage. Rewound it. At 2:47 p.m., exactly when she'd been sitting outside the funeral home, they'd appeared. All 20-something people, standing on her porch. For 30 seconds they'd stood there whispering. Then they'd simply vanished. Not walked away. Vanished. Frame by frame, Sarah watched. One moment they were there. The next, gone. No transition. No movement. Just there, then not. Sarah went inside. Locked every door. Every window. She called Detective Morrison. Voicemail. She called again. And again. On the 4th call, someone picked up. But it wasn't Morrison. It was a woman's voice. Professional, cold. Detective Morrison is no longer available. Who's calling, please? Sarah hung up. She searched for Morrison online. Found a news article from that morning. Detective James Morrison, 43, died in a single-vehicle accident on Route 9 at approximately 4:15 a.m. No other vehicles involved. Morrison's car had left the road, struck a tree. He died instantly. The article said he'd been driving home from a call. Hadn't been drinking. Wasn't speeding. Just lost control. The accident happened 2 hours after he'd left Sarah's house. 2 hours after he'd watched the ring footage, Sarah's phone buzzed. Text message. Unknown number. You shouldn't have come to Mitchell Street, Sarah. Now we know you're curious. Curious people always come inside eventually. We'll be waiting. See you at 3:47. Sarah blocked the number. Immediately received another text from a different number. Same message. She turned off her phone, pulled out the SIM card, smashed it. She needed to think, needed to figure out what was happening. She grabbed her laptop, started researching. Mitchell Street Funeral Home established 1952. She dug deeper, found property records. The building was built in 1897. Wasn't always a funeral home. Before 1952, it was a private residence, owned by a family named Holloway. She found newspaper archives, articles from 1951. The Holloway family, parents and 3 children, all died in a house fire. The house was damaged but not destroyed. It sat empty for a year. Then someone bought it, converted it, opened it as Mitchell Street Funeral Home. The owner's name was listed as Holloway. Sarah's stomach dropped. Holloway. Same last name. She searched for more information, found an obituary from 1951. Marcus Holloway survived by no known relatives. But wait, the funeral home opened in 1952, owned by Holloway. Sarah found the business registration. Owner listed as Marcus Holloway. Same name. He died in the fire, but then opened a funeral home a year later. That was impossible. Unless Sarah found a photo, newspaper clipping from the funeral home's opening. There was Marcus Holloway cutting a ribbon. She zoomed in on his face. Her breath caught. It was the man in the black suit. The man who'd waved at her today. But this photo was from 1952. 73 years ago. Sarah slammed her laptop shut. She grabbed her car keys. She was leaving. Right now. Driving until she ran out of gas. Then getting on a plane. Then disappearing. But when she opened her front door, they were there. Not on her porch. In her yard. Dozens of them. All the people from the ring footage, Mr. Patterson in front. They weren't moving. Just standing. Staring. Sarah slammed the door, ran to the back, looked out the kitchen window. More people, surrounding her house, all in funeral clothes, all silent, all waiting. She checked her watch. 3:39 p.m. 8 minutes until 3:47. Sarah ran upstairs, locked herself in her bathroom. She reinstalled the SIM card in her phone, called 911. The operator answered. 911, what's your emergency? There are people surrounding my house. I need help. Please. Ma'am, can you describe these people? There, Sarah stopped. How could she describe this? They're from a funeral home. They're dead. They shouldn't be here. Ma'am, have you taken any medication today? Are you alone? I'm not crazy. They're real. They're outside right now. Ma'am, I'm sending a unit to your location. Stay inside. Stay on the line. Sarah heard something. Downstairs. The sound of her front door opening. But she'd locked it. She'd locked everything. Footsteps. On her stairs, slow. Measured. Multiple sets. They were inside. The 911 operator was still talking, but Sarah wasn't listening. She looked at her watch. 3:46 p.m. 1 minute. The footsteps stopped outside the bathroom door. Sarah stared at the handle. It began to turn. She hadn't locked it. Stupid. So stupid. The door opened. Marcus Holloway stood there, still smiling. Behind him, Mr. Patterson. Behind him, Detective Morrison, his face pale, neck bent at a wrong angle from the accident. Behind them, dozens more. Marcus spoke. His voice was soft, gentle. Sarah Chen, you were curious. Curiosity is good. It brings people to us. We've been waiting for you. What do you want? Sarah whispered. Marcus stepped into the bathroom. We want to show you something. We want you to understand. You see, death isn't the end. Not for everyone. Some of us are chosen, selected. We get to stay, to serve, to collect. Sarah's back was against the wall. Collect what? Marcus glanced at his watch. It was 3:47 p.m. He looked back at Sarah. His smile widened. The living, for the hollow come. We'll show you. He reached out his hand. Sarah didn't take it, didn't move. Marcus's smile faded slightly. You don't have a choice, Sarah. You came to Mitchell Street. You looked. You saw. Now you're part of the collection. Whether you walk with us or we carry you, either way, you're coming. Sarah's vision blurred. She felt hands on her arms, cold, wrong. They lifted her, carried her down the stairs, out the front door. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. Tried to fight, but her body wouldn't respond. They loaded her into a van. Black, no windows. She was surrounded by them, all the collected ones, all whispering, Mitchell Street, Mitchell Street, Mitchell Street. The van drove for what felt like hours, but Sarah's watch said only 8 minutes. When the doors opened, they were at the funeral home. Marcus helped her out, guided her inside. The interior was normal, professional, exactly what you'd expect. But Marcus led her past the viewing rooms, past the offices, to a door marked private. He opened it. Stairs led down. Sarah was pushed forward. She descended. The basement was massive, bigger than the building above. Impossible. The walls were lined with alcoves. In each alcove, a person, standing, still, eyes open, not breathing, not moving, just existing. There are 2,347, Marcus said from behind her. We've been collecting since 1897, since the first Holloway died. You see, this land is special. The house was built on top of something old, something hollow. It requires feeding, not food, not blood. It requires presence, living people who can hover between death and life, sustained, preserved, eternal. Sarah found her voice. Why? Marcus smiled sadly. Because if we don't feed it, it will take everyone. It will hollow out the entire town. Everyone will simply cease, not die, just stop. The land will consume them. This way, we feed it slowly, carefully, a few people every year, and in exchange, it gives us purpose. We who died here are bound to it. We serve, we collect, we maintain the balance. Sarah looked at the alcoves, at the people. Some looked recent, some looked decades old, all perfectly preserved, all aware. She could see it in their eyes. They were conscious, trapped, eternal. This is hell, Sarah whispered. Marcus nodded. For some, for others, it's peace. No more worry, no more pain, no more choice, just existence, forever feeding the hollow. Now it's your turn. He gestured to an empty alcove. Sarah ran, sprinted for the stairs, but Mr. Patterson was there, blocking her. She turned, ran deeper into the basement. The alcoves went on forever. Rows and rows of people. She could hear footsteps behind her, multiple, coming from all directions. She turned a corner. Dead end, no. A door. She grabbed the handle. Locked. She pounded on it. The footsteps were closer. She turned. They were there. Dozens of them. Surrounding her. Please, Sarah begged. Please don't do this. Marcus pushed through the crowd. Stood in front of her. I'm sorry. I truly am. But the hollow is hungry. And you were chosen the moment Mr. Patterson visited you. They always visit their neighbors, their friends, their family. It's how we spread, how we collect. Each person brings the next. An endless chain. Sarah felt hands on her again, dragging her back toward the alcove. She fought, scratched, bit, but there were too many. They placed her in the alcove. She tried to step out, but her body wouldn't move. Paralyzed. Marcus stood in front of her. It will hurt for a moment. the transition. But then you'll feel nothing, just existence. And in time, you'll be grateful. It's better than what waits for most people. Trust me. Sarah screamed, but her scream died in her throat. She felt something under her feet, in the walls, something vast, ancient, hungry. It was feeding on her, not her body, her essence, her will, her future. Everything she could have been was being drained away, consumed by the hollow land beneath Mitchell Street. She tried to fight it, but there was nothing to fight, just emptiness pulling at her. The last thing she saw before her vision fixed forward, before she became another preserved collection, was Marcus walking away, leaving her there. Just one more alcove, one more person, one more meal for the thing that lives under Mitchell Street. And somewhere above, in the world of the living, someone else was receiving a ring notification. Motion detected at front door. Sarah Chen was standing on their porch at 3:47 a.m., whispering an address. The cycle continuing, the collection growing, forever feeding the hollow, one doorbell at a time.